Top five.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got a great episode of the Countdown today. We're ranking the top 5 best free agent predictions in the 2023 NFL offseason.
And this is the 11th episode of the show, so we're really starting to get up there, but we're always back to the basics. Make sure you smash that like button and damn sure subscribe, because we're going to be coming back each and every single week.
For sure. So with this being said, you have to know this isn't about what's most likely to happen.
No.
It's just about if we could have the best offseason possible, these 5 things would happen. So with that being said, we're going to start out with number 5, and we're talking about Odell Beckham, the best free agent over the past year because he was available all offseason, coming off the torn ACL in the Super Bowl. Never signed with a team, got himself fully healthy, and he could go to the Dallas Cowboys, which is a team that he's pretty much been flirting with on and off. Might go, might not go, but this could be the offseason. They finally get it done. Give Dak Prescott a weapon that he can rely on alongside CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. Form a great wide receiver trio there and really put the Cowboys back in a position to compete in the NFC East and really for the NFC title in general.
We're talking about OBJ. We're talking about Odell Beckham Jr. We're talking about one of the flashiest players in the NFL. And over the last couple of years, he's been hitting off in the cut in Cleveland. And now he's finally gotten a chance to come back to the limelight. And we saw what he did with LA in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl. He was really going to work.
Yeah, he loves the bright lights.
Loves the bright lights. So why not put him in Dallas? Maybe the brightest lights of all. And Dallas had struggles with their second receiver last year. Michael Gallup was coming off a torn ACL. So he only had about 450 receiving yards last year. And there's one thing that's obvious about the NFL right now is you can't have enough receivers. And you have the chance to add somebody like Odell, 30 years old. He's getting up there in age. But, I mean, obviously the flash, the catches, the ability to get open, he can still do the whole 9 yards. You just have to worry about his knees. So if the Cowboys do go get Odell, they have to make sure that they have that fourth receiver. I know they drafted, I think, Jalen Tolbert in the 3rd or 4th round last year.
That's going to be huge there.
Yeah, so that's going to be huge. So even if they get Odell, it'd be smart to get somebody behind that.
Yeah, no doubt. So at number 5, we have Odell Beckham to the Cowboys, probably the most predictable one of this ranking.
Yeah.
But moving on to number 4, we got something that's kind of been back and forth. We got the Raiders going to get Aaron Rodgers, pairing him up with Davante Adams once again, Brandon.
Exactly, and a lot of talk right now is about Aaron Rodgers going to the New York Jets. You know, Sauce Gardner's out there advocating for him. The whole team really is.
Yeah, a lot of recruitment going on.
Yeah, they went and got Nathaniel Hackett too. So really everything aligns for Aaron Rodgers to go to New York. But there could be a better situation than him, and that's going back towards home. He's from California, so go to Las Vegas and team up with the best receiver you'll play with throughout your whole entire career, maybe the best receiver in the NFL, and Davante Adams. So just imagining Aaron Rodgers back on the West Coast, slinging it to Davante Adams down the sideline. We also have to remember they have Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow, and Josh McDaniels isn't the best head coach, but he's still a great offensive mind, and he can still find ways to trigger and pull the best out of Aaron Rodgers. So I think Aaron Rodgers in the black and silver makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, just pairing him with Davante Adams again, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, franchise tagging Josh Jacobs. That's going to be a loaded offense.
Weapons.
And when you're talking about the AFC West too, with Mahomes out there, Russell Wilson now getting Sean Payton, helping him get back on track. Justin Herbert, obviously one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. Then you throw in Aaron Rodgers, a future first ballot Hall of Famer, just makes all that hype from last year of that division even better this year, and really could have 4 teams that make the playoffs. Something a lot of people said last year could actually come to reality this year if they go get Aaron Rodgers. A lot of talks around it. The Raiders GM's out here saying he doesn't know what they're going to do at the quarterback position. You know what you got to do. Go get Aaron Rodgers. It might cost some draft capital. It might cost some cap space, but you could immediately make your team a Super Bowl contender if they fit in right. Going back with that wide receiver one that we know he loves so much in Davante Adams, and seeing him get back in that MVP caliber play that we know he's capable of because he did it just 2 years ago. So that would be a huge addition for the Raiders, and why that made the list as well.
Exactly. And the Raiders, when you think about it, are a desperate team. They have a desperate head coach in Josh McDaniels, who's getting another chance to be a head coach. Stalled out last year, had a terrible season, really underperformed. You also got to think about the fact that the Raiders really haven't been relevant in a long time. Mark Davis is really trying to get this team out of the gutter. They just moved to Vegas. They're very cash-strapped. They couldn't even get rid of Josh McDaniels right now if they could. So the Raiders are really going full-fledged, they really have to make a move. And once again, this video wasn't about what's most likely to happen, which is Aaron Rodgers to the Jets.
Probably,
we're talking about what would be best or what would be coolest to see. And we think there's a lot of cool storylines behind Aaron Rodgers going to Las Vegas.
Yeah, no doubt. Seeing him play some of those teams twice a year, that would be exciting.
Exactly.
So moving on to number 3, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning NFC champions.
Philly.
They're losing a lot of players this offseason. If you've seen the list of free agents they got, it is lengthy. So we're going to try to help them out and add some defensive playmakers to that side of the ball. We saw them get carved up by Andy Reid and Mahomes in the Super Bowl. I think they scored every single drive in the second half. Couldn't get a stop to save their life. They already replaced the defensive coordinator. Now they're going to need to replace some of those guys like TJ Edwards, who's a free agent, like James Bradberry, CJ Gardner-Johnson, all these guys. The beautiful thing for them is those 3 positions, linebacker, cornerback, safety, they are loaded in free agency. A lot of options that they could get into. Brandon, who are some of the guys you think that they could pick up in Philly?
I mean, Philly could go a lot of different ways. Like you said, Rob, there's a lot of turnover going to Philly. They lost to OC. They lost to DC. Shoot, they're about to lose probably Miles Sanders, Javon Hargrave, TJ Edwards, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, James Bradberry. I mean, shit, the list goes on and on and on. But like Rob said, the most important thing is that the free agency class is stacked at corner, and stacked at linebacker, and it's stacked at safety. So they're losing Gardner-Johnson, losing Marcus Epps. They could go out and get Jesse Bates out there from Cincinnati. Cincinnati's also losing their second safety as well, Von Bell. So there's some safeties out there that they could really key in on. I know there was some smoke early in last season about the Eagles potentially going out to get Jesse Bates. And if there's one thing that we know about Philly, they're not scared to make big moves. Last year they traded for
a wheeler and dealer.
Wheeler and dealer. Doesn't matter if it's a draft pick. Doesn't matter if they have to get rid of one of their best players. They don't care. They went and traded for James Bradberry last year. Well, they signed James Bradberry.
But they traded for Darius Slay.
Right. That might have been 2 years ago.
Yeah, a couple years. Right.
Either way, they don't give a fuck. They'll go all for it. They signed Reddick last year, and the class is stacked. Well, go ahead and name some of those players that are free agents.
Yeah, they're not afraid to make moves, and a lot of those guys you talked about, like Jesse Bates, you got Jordan Poyer out there in the secondary. Juan Thornhill, Super Bowl champion, could shift over to the other team that they played. And then at corner, you got like Marcus Peters, Jamel Dean, right, from Tampa Bay. So a lot of quality players in the secondary. And the linebacker, I think it's very intriguing that they already have Nakobe Dean probably coming in to taking one of those starting roles. True. So they only need one other guy. They could re-sign TJ Edwards. But if they go in and got a guy like Bobby Wagner, or Tremaine Edmonds, Eric Kendricks from Minnesota, like a lot of high-quality players at the linebacker position, at the cornerback, at the safety position. And we know Philly is not afraid to make moves, so if they do, it could really put them right back into the title contention picture and make all those all-season concerns of all their departures become a non-issue.
Yeah, and this was the unquestioned best team in NFC last year. They have a lot of departures going out. Why would they not go and retool and restock and make another run to the NFC Championship, Super Bowl, whatever?
Exactly, and the last point I have is everyone's talking about the Jalen Hurts contract. That's going to reduce their cap space. It's probably not going to kick in at a high level for another year, maybe even 2 years. So this offseason, they'll still have plenty of cap space to work with to go and get those guys and put a really high-quality team around a young quarterback who's still kind of on that rookie deal or that less salary kind of contract.
And one more thing, the Eagles do still have 2 first-round picks, so they can go a lot of different directions, whether they go linebacker, safety, linebacker, cornerback. They could even go running back early in the second round, into the first round. We'll see. Philly has a lot of options.
Yeah, long story short, Philly's got a lot of options, can do a lot of things. They're definitely a team to watch for this offseason. And so moving on to number 2, we have Mac Jones and Justin Fields finally getting a supporting cast around them, Brandon.
Finally. Yeah, I mean, Mac Jones in his second year really kind of struggled this year. This is really a team that throws the ball to the tight ends a lot, use Jacoby Myers a lot, who's going to be a free agent this offseason. Right. And their big move last year was going out and trading for Devontae Parker, an in-division receiver who actually played pretty well. Besides that, they really don't have many options. Hunter Henry was the guy that was really tearing people apart, Ramondre Stevenson. So now we know the New England Patriots, for whatever reason, cannot draft receivers. So it'd be smart for New England to sign a free agent, maybe put some draft picks together, trade for a wide receiver. They really have to be smart and strategic and really get a good guy out there. And then we talk about Justin Fields. We got Ryan Poles. It was his first year as a GM last year. He tried to make some smooth moves out there. They went out and got Byron Pringle, who played really well for the Chiefs, but put up an absolute dud in Chicago.
I think he got hurt.
He got hurt? Yeah, he was out for most of the year. Wanted to play like 6 or 7 games. Still didn't really do shit.
Gotcha.
They wanted to trading for Chase Claypool at the trade deadline. Wanted to be in a terrible trade because they wanted to trade in the 32nd pick to Pittsburgh. But you can tell these teams are trying to put their best foot forward and really turn the worst receiving corps in the league to one of the better ones. And you know, Chicago has that first overall pick. They could trade back to 4, then trade back again to 7, and just stockpile draft picks and maybe draft 2 receivers this draft. New England has a lot of different options that they can go. Rob, what do you think these teams can really do?
Yeah, I think with the Patriots, we've seen them do it before with Randy Moss. We've seen them not be afraid to go get a guy like Antonio Brown. Obviously, this one's a little different, but as far as the top high-caliber quality of receiver, why not go get DeAndre Hopkins? Why not go get a guy who's going to be a Hall of Famer? Give Mac Jones someone who has that veteran leadership in the locker room and can really help that offense hit that next stride, because we've seen that offense be so run-heavy, be so short pass-centric. Now they're bringing in Bill O'Brien. They're at least finally putting him with like a, proven quality offensive coordinator and a system in place that can allow a quarterback to thrive. But he's going to need some weapons around him to do it. And so getting a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, getting someone like Brandon Cooks could really make a lot of sense there. And then Justin Fields, obviously, so electric as a runner, but he hasn't really had a chance to prove how good he can be as a passer, because he's getting guys like Chase Claypool or Darnell Mooney as his best options. And those are, quality pieces. But if they can put someone at the top of that depth chart like Hopkins or like Cooks, go draft a guy like Jackson Smith-Njigba or Quentin Johnson out of TCU, Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee would be a great pickup. Someone who can be that deep threat, give their offense just a whole new dimension of stretching it out vertically, because they already stretch it out horizontally with that run game, and could really put both of those quarterbacks from the 2021 draft class in a position to prove that they can be franchise quarterbacks.
I mean, what about polar opposites to start out their career? You think about Mac Jones as a rookie.
Pro Bowl as a rookie, right?
Won Pro Bowl as a rookie, almost won Rookie of the Year as well.
Yeah.
You think about Justin Fields, his rookie year really didn't do anything, and then the roles were completely reversed. Justin Fields is looking like the sky's the limit if he can get some receivers and throw the ball a little bit better. And Mac Jones is looking a little shaky. And then we've been questions about a rookie, Bailey Zappi, taking over for him in the future. So obviously that was a little smoke and mirrors and a little hype, but these two quarterbacks, they got to cut out for them.
Yeah, exactly. And so getting those weapons will definitely be big for them.
Huge.
And moving on to number 1, we got the NFC getting some quality young quarterbacks. We know how loaded the AFC is. We got Mahomes. You got Josh Allen. You got Joe Burrow. You got Justin Herbert. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. The list goes on and on. The NFC has Jalen Hurts. The NFC has Jalen Hurts. And the NFC has Jalen Hurts. So that's about it in the NFC. Kyler Murray obviously coming off the ACL. We don't know how he's going to look in a whole new system. And then after that, you got like Dak Prescott,
Jared Goff,
yeah,
Kirk Cousins.
So let's see some balance in the NFC. This is the number one thing I want to see this offseason is let's bring some quality young quarterbacks to the NFC. Lamar Jackson's available. Maybe Atlanta goes and grabs him. You got the quarterbacks in the draft, of course, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis. This is one of those rare draft classes where you have 4 names that could go in the top 10, and those teams that need a quarterback in the NFC. I'm talking to you, Carolina. I'm talking to you, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Washington. Those teams need a quarterback. Go make a move. Go get those young guys and bring some power back into the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear the power is on the AFC. There's not much power on the NFC. We named the quarterbacks. There really needs to be a lot of help, a lot of balance and power that needs to come to the NFC side. And the best way to do that is through the draft. Obviously, you want to go get the best quarterback in the league, but do you want to pay them $55 million guaranteed Deshaun Watson type deal? Or do you want to draft a quarterback in the top 5, maybe pay him $10 million a year for the next 4 or 5 years? It's a smart way to do things. And obviously, this draft is stacked at the top with quarterbacks, completely opposite of last year with only 1 quarterback went in the first round. We got the Bryce Youngs of the world. We got the C.J. Strouds, the Will Levises, the Richardsons. There's quarterbacks in this draft, maybe franchise-changing quarterbacks, whether it's athletically or just arm talent-wise. We really have a great bunch of quarterbacks in this draft, and we need the NFC to step it up so we can have some competition for teams like the Eagles. And it was just ridiculous last year. Literally, Mr. Irrelevant was in the NFC Championship and carving up NFC defenses. So let's get it together, NFC GMs.
Yeah, let's not have Mr. Irrelevant back into the NFC Championship. So NFC teams, go make the move. And if you're watching this video, you can go to prosportsoutlook.com, make your own rankings of what free agent moves you want to see this offseason. Check that out. And of course, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next week for another great episode of The Countdown.
See y'all next time.